Do you guys remember what interval notation is? Yeah, I like it. So like, the brackets and the parentheses, you guys, I'm not going to quiz you on that all of a sudden. Oh, shit. But, it could be from 7, comma 9, right? So that's an interval of stuff. And how wide is that interval, would you say, from 7 to 9? 2. It's 2, 1. Are you with me? So what did I just do to get 2? I just subtracted. So it kind of makes sense. Interval data is data that I can subtract, and the answer makes sense. Can I subtract zip codes? Of course I can. Of course I can. Right? 92104, I can subtract 92103 and I get 1. Does that 1 mean anything? No. Doesn't mean shit, right? I can subtract Social Security numbers if you kind of ignore the dashes, right? I can subtract these things, but does the answer make sense? That's what you need for this. Interval is data where subtraction makes sense. Right? So a year of birth. If I subtract 2 years of birth, what does that mean? Who's looking at me? When were you born?
August 2nd.
What year?
What year is it? 1995.
95. All right, so if you subtract 1995, and then from that you subtract 1972, I told you I was old. What does the answer mean? 1995 minus 1972? You get 23. What's that answer mean? Does it have a physical meaning?
23.
I've been roaming the earth for 23 more years than you, right? Well, Pulp Fiction. So, year of birth would be interval data because subtraction makes sense. Now, aren't years, don't they have an order they want to be in?
Yeah.
So, every single thing that is interval is automatically also ordinal, which is also nominal. Right? You could be that girl that strongly agreed with number 3 on the evaluation. That's your name. Right? So your answer to a question like this always has to be the highest level. So ratio is the highest level, and it requires that division makes sense, not just subtraction. Dividing 2 data points makes sense. And there's a second thing. 0 means what it's supposed to mean. So what the shit do I mean by that? Well, how many temperature scales do you guys know? Some of you guys know 2, some of you guys know 3. I like it. What's that third one that people don't normally know? Kelvin. Kelvin is the actual measurement of energy. All temperature is a measure of kinetic energy. So when Kelvin goes to 0, that's absolute 0. We all dead, right? So you don't want to go to 0. You get close to 0 and have all kinds of weird shit happen. Right? But Celsius and Fahrenheit are the 2 that we normally know. Most of the world uses Celsius because that's metric based on the number 10. America is the only freaking country in the face of the earth anymore. It used to be 3 of us. Now there's only 1, us, that doesn't use metric, right? Think of that what you will, but it really, really sucks. So Celsius and Fahrenheit aren't ratio, because what is 0 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius? Does it mean the absence of what it's measuring? No. 0 is supposed to mean the absence of what you're measuring. But can't you have less heat in something than 0? Of course you can. You can cool it down further, right? You guys see what I mean by that? 0 has to mean what it's supposed to mean. So the number of fish in a pond is ratio data. Because number 1, if I said 0, that means the absence of fish, right? The way it's supposed to. Also, if one pond had 4 fish and the other pond had 8 fish, this pond has 8 divided by 4, twice as many. It makes physical sense. I could divide 2 birth years. Does the answer mean shit? No. Because 0 is in the wrong place, to be honest. This is the year 0, meaning the absence of time passing. Can we go even further back in time? Yes. I don't mean literally. Don't get excited. Now notice I'm not saying that just because there's negative stuff that it's not ratio. For example, profit. A company's profit. What does 0 mean? Yeah, broke even. They didn't make any money, which in recent years was really something to celebrate. But just because, what does negative profit mean? You lost money. But is profit interval or ratio? Well, zero means the absence of money made. Just because there's negative doesn't mean it's not ratio. If my company made $2,000 and your company made $8,000, your company made $6,000 more, so it's at least interval, but it made 4 times as much, so it's ratio. Do you guys see what I mean by tell me the highest level? Don't just say I can subtract it and I'm done. Check to see if you can divide it and it makes sense too. Oh yeah, so okay, distance. So if you live, how far away do you live roughly? 8 miles. If I live 16 miles away, 16 divided by 8, I live twice as far away. If I live 0 miles away, that's the absence of movement required for me to get home. I live right here. Thankfully, that's not true. You guys don't have to worry about me. I'm not sleeping under the desks. I like it. Not yet. I don't know what's going to happen to me. All right, now none of you guys have this fully yet, which is just true. You just got to get into this and try it out. Try to get the differences between them understood. So the way you normally work it is, if it's not numerical, it's one of these two. If it is truly numerical, it's one of these two. That's the first thing you kind of break it down by, and then you figure out, well, which one of these is it within those. I like that. I like it. I think there's just one more thing I want to do, and then I'll let us out of here a little early. Yeah, I'm going to let us out a lot early. Don't get used to it. One last thing. Yet another way to break down quantitative data. Continuous and discrete. Now the word discrete is a strange one. In English it normally means, in the English language it means secretive, out of sight, just be discreet, right? Always think about somebody meeting their mistress or something, be discreet about it. So it's kind of weird. In math, there's a whole class called discrete math, and it deals with the study of, basically the study of integers, whole numbers, right? No decimals in there really. So that's what discrete is all about. It means things that I can count. Things that there can't be any value for. So continuous is exactly what it sounds like. Continuous. It doesn't skip anything. So the earlier example of distance. You said you live about 8 miles away, right? Is it exactly 8.000000 miles? Oh, hell no. It's like maybe 8.1294, but we're human. We're going to say that. You're going to say about 8. What do you want from me, right? But you could be more and more and more precise if you wanted to. It's possible to make that more and more and more precise, and it makes sense. Now, so that would be continuous data. In fact, most measurements are going to be continuous, as long as it's not a measurement of number of something. This is a measurement of distance, and that could be a continuous thing, right? We don't suddenly exist here and then exist here. No, we go through. Now, don't get all quantum mechanical on me, but we basically go through all these places in between, right? It's a continuous thing. Discrete would be something like the number of doors on your car. You're not going to tell me you got 1.793 doors on your car, right? I'm like, what? Now watch. There are trucks that have half doors, right? And they're appropriately named because they're what the shit. So you could have like 2.5 doors or whatever. You guys with me? But that's not, decimals don't mean continuous. What matters is it possible that every value in between 2.5 and 3 doors? No, it goes 2.5, 3, 3.5, at best. Right? Do you guys understand that? So discrete has to skip an infinite number of numbers, to be honest. A whole number, it just has to skip possible values. Continuous doesn't. So, like I said, age. I know if I say how old are you, you're not going to say I'm 22.7355444444441 7 years old. What? So you got to be real careful, because what I do is I'll say, tell me if this is discrete or continuous. Tell me if the data would be discrete or continuous. Jerry is 47 years old. You're not going to say discrete because it's a whole number. No. What could it be? 46.99 or 47.1764. Do you guys understand? So don't, and if I say the average number of people in the store was 27.8 people, does that make it continuous? Can the number of people in the store be a continuous thing? If there are 26 people and one more comes in, how many people are there now? 27. You don't go, his toe comes in, now there's 26.1. And then the rest, now it's 26. No, he's in or he's not. Shit. Do you guys get the idea? So why is an average okay to be a decimal? It's got to be a decimal, in fact, sometimes. Oh, shit. This is that 2.5 kid thing. I don't know what it is anymore now, but it used to be this thing that was quoted all the time. People have, the average number of kids people is 2.5. And then somebody had the joke, I don't want to see that half kid, man. Keep that kid somewhere else. No, Cronenberg. But why can the average be that way? Well, what if 10 people have 25 kids between them? What's the average number of kids? 2.5. So averages have to be able to be decimals, whatever they come out to be, because I have to be able to multiply back to get the actual total number of kids again. So if you round it up to 3, and I go, 10 people had 3 kids on average, so 30 kids. No, 25 kids. Then why the hell did you say 3? Do you understand that? So mathematically, it has to be allowed to be whatever decimal it comes out to be when you divide. So an average doesn't imply that you can have half a person, right? You're a person, you ain't. I don't care if you lost something. You're still a person or you're not. I like it. Maybe. Okay, so that's the difference between continuous. That means that if you think about it, does it make sense to say, like, the weight of the backpack is 8.111746 pounds? If you can say that makes sense, it's most likely continuous. But if you're like, there are 17.8664 books on the table, no, that doesn't make any sense. It must be discrete, because I can count the number of books on the table. Okay, I like it. Okay. All right. Any questions from all of that? I mean, that's a lot of stuff, but the first chapter is all definitions. You're going to want to get in there and read some, because there are going to be a few things that I skip over that will be in the homework. I'm so evil. All right. So if anybody needs to see me, anybody need did I ever take roll? Shit. No. Oh my God. Let me do that real quick before I lose people. And if anybody need an ad code, by the way? All right. So let me get through this, and then you guys come up. I got ad codes.